Hello everyone, it's me, Hearth Guy, and I've been on the run for the last month, during which I have been living in the basements of the rich. After all, we all know that the rich pay off the police not to police them, so if I hide out underneath their noses, then I'm set. I somehow doubt they'll notice in their enormous houses that one extra person is mooching off all their infinite resources that could easily feed the poor but instead are now feeding me. Checkmate, cops. This time in isolation has scrambled my brain and caused it to be disassembled and reconstituted in the form of Barry B. Benson, as I cannot help but ask everyone I know, do you like jazz? I have been stricken with a great and terrible burden due to the re-emergence of a powerful presence in the world of video games. That presence sounds like jazz and feels like a bullet being shot through the face of the physical embodiment of humanity's desires by a giant spirit demon. Yes, I'm talking about Persona 5 Royal is not Persona 5, believe it or not. It's more like the Schneider cut of Persona 5, where they took all the extra ideas they thought they didn't have time for in the first place, and rapidly and gleefully inserted them into the game, resulting in a finely polished experience that makes you ask the question, what was the age of consent in Japan again? I make it a point to respect and disrespect everything equally at all times. Don't think this is going to be too educational. I'm gonna throw anything and everything I can at you all at once, so if anything sounds like it doesn't make sense, just accept it and move on for your own sake. Nice. Spoiler warning for, well, everything. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, you should experience this for yourself.
For real?
I speak as one who was spoiled on like 3 different story beats when all I looked up was Persona 5 Royal on Switch. Curse you, Google. But what is a persona, and why should you care about any of this? An excellent question, Charles. In Persona, much like Pokemon, you call upon your anthropomorphic stand to fight against the entirety of FurFest 2023. And just like Pokemon, you must sacrifice the creatures you subjugate to acquire further power. Each one of your titular personas is attuned to your standard elemental affinities. Fire, Ice, Electric, Curse, Psychic, Gun. Gun is my favorite element. However, you must emphasize synergy to get anywhere, and to do that, you must acquire a specialized group of people who possess all the skills necessary to achieve your goals. Or you can pick up a random group of kids off the street and give them superpowers. So sit back and relax as I explain to you all why Persona 5 Royal is a shot of dopamine right into my cerebral cortex.
You never see it coming. You see that my mind is too fast for rise. You're done but the time is hit you, you're not surprised.
We begin our tale in Fallout New Vegas. Man, Mr. House is doing real well for himself. However, he does have an infestation of the worst kind. Cosplayers. One is even Jophine Queenix's The Jokester, and he has friends. That's how you know this game is unrealistic. What with the flashing lights and police brutality, you'd be forgiven for actually thinking this place is Vegas. But we're actually in Japan. If you're confused, don't worry. We start this story in media Resident Evil is a video game about giant women. This isn't that game, but we still have giant women. Still can't romance them, though.
Truly cringeworthy.
Our first task is to find our way in Tokyo. Good luck. And meet the Lord of the Beans, the protector of the holy grounds, and the only man who can rock a fedora unironically. Sojiro Sakura. We'll talk about him later.
You are my dad.
Right after a quick nap. The Impractical Joker's story begins when he wakes me up in Samurai. Wait, it wasn't me. I've never even been to Uvujavar. Wait a minute. Where the fuck?
What's up, boy? I'm here to make you a god.
Could you elaborate?
No.
It's always a good sign when you start the game by meeting Sans Undertale and his child soldiers. Pinocchio here be telling lies, it looks like. We awaken from our dream into an even worse nightmare. School. Dang it, I thought I was done with where is your neck? We also meet our teacher. Something made her a very popular character. I wonder what it could be.
Traffic's not moving at all.
Gee, I wonder why that could be. Yada yada, I don't see anything important. It's him! It's him! He's here! My favorite character! Sherlock Homicide! I'm your biggest fan! We'll get back to that. The next task given to us is to live an honest student life. This is a categorically impossible task, because shortly after witnessing a girl get into the car with this man, remember this monkey's face, we meet stereotypical best friend number 5638.
For real?
As it turns out, we take the wrong turn and end up at... Ah, yes, because that isn't suspicious at all. Let us just walk right on in. Do I want to know what this place is used for? Oh, never mind, I think I know now. Sir, can you please put on some pants? You're in the presence of minors. As it turned out, this was not a mistake. In order to escape Epstein's wild ride, I harnessed the power of my sleep paralysis demon and awakened to my persona. I hope you like that word because you'll be hearing it a lot. This is our persona, Arson, and yeah, that name is accurate. We use our protagonist's powers to free ourselves and our new friend before trapping Jeffrey in his cell. I'm sure he'll be fine in there. As we crawl through the dungeon, we encounter our next ally, Pepe Le Simp. You'll see why that's accurate later. Morgana Freeman teaches us the essentials of school violence alongside the big mustachioed man that lives inside him, Zorro. I'm not even joking, it's literally him. However, that's not as funny, so from here on out I shall refer to him as Waluigi exclusively. With Waluigi and Arson by our side, we cut away through tiny people and produce that block our path, and escape the castle by harnessing the power of the imposter. We emerge from Spooky's jumbly funhouse. However, it would seem that no one believes us when we try to tell them about our adventures in the Upside Down. Who could have guessed? However, fear not, for our new punk best friend has arrived to assist us. He is our boy now, and 20% of the reason that people want a female protagonist. We'll talk about the other 80% later. Not long after, we are introduced to the best girl. No, I will not accept argument on that. However, we have to wait on her, so I hope you know how to be patient. In the meantime, we can go be bros with our buddy as we delve again into Walt Disney's Haunted Mansion, featuring Eddie Murphy and an entire Renaissance fair. After very little consideration, Saitama and Mark Hamill agree to return to Disney World. This would turn out to be a mistake. We are quickly found by our resident Catboy and led to the Love Dungeon. That isn't a joke. I know the rest of what I say is nonsense, but that part is a fact. Upon witnessing the conditions of the average Blizzard office place, the three Mouseketeers agree to flee and run directly into a trap, because Ryuji doesn't know what the word discreet means. This will be a trend. We are surrounded by an army of brony Tumblr OCs, and the game makes us lose. Boy, I sure do love forced and unfair losses that I could have easily overcome. However, when all seems lost and a wild baboon threatens our lives, Ryuji makes a stand, or should I say he makes a persona, because
You are a pirate!
wow, look, it's Captain Jack Spackle riding a comically small boat like it's a skateboard. He's here to introduce these fools to the joys of piracy, because just like a deer on the freeway, they'll never see me coming. Oh, I guess we're leaving again. We must investigate further into the dark and foreboding locale that is the average Japanese high school, home to such grotesque creatures as this sentient chimpanzee. On the subject of sentient animals that belong in a cage, Morgana appears to convince us to give King Dice a brain hemorrhage. I see no problem with this, but Ryuji remains unconvinced. On our way home, we encounter a young woman scared and alone who tells us to leave her be. Naturally, we chase her down.
He told me to go to his place after this. You know what it means. If I turn him down, he said he'd take my friend off as a regular on the team.
Oh,
I've been telling myself this
that's...
is all for Shiho's sake.
Huh.
I can't take
I
it
don't know
anymore.
how to make a joke about that.
I've had enough of this. I hate him.
Where's the funny? I thought this was supposed to be
I
funny.
shouldn't have asked. It's not your problem.
Anyways, I'm sure we still have some fun adventures to look for. What's happening? Oh no. I guess you could say I never saw it coming. The gloves are off. Things have gotten real and this game decides to show its true face. Unfortunately, so has the monkey that caused this. With our cheeks clenched and our three amigos all united, we agree that murder is okay if the target's face can do that. After all, now our only obstacle between us and higher education is student debt. and also this chimpanzee with a horse face. Don't worry though, he does get uglier. Once more, we log into VR chat, but know something is wrong the moment we see something that can never be found in VR chat. A woman. We promptly remove her from the cringe castle, and that will be the last we ever see of her. We skulk cantankerously towards our devilish deeds, a statement I could make at any point in this video, and Morgana teaches us a valuable lesson about stick-ups. It's not intimidation if the threats are genuine.
If that's the case, I guess it's time for you to go to hell.
Instead of introducing them to the pavement, we instead capture them like a Pokemon, and now we have 2 people living inside our heads, like normal people. However, just like restraining orders, there's no such thing as too many. These creatures can range from Tinkerbell, like you saw before, to a really weird looking pitbull, to an angel, to a furry. What do all of these things have in common? They're all mythical creatures that do not belong in this world. We progress through the castle, unaware that An is being attacked by a squad of simps and taken to the... What? Whoa, I don't know if I can show this. What was this game rated again?
Police! Police!
This is becoming a very different sort of game. Suddenly, we arrive to save An Teriyaki from raising this game's age rating. But it appears it's not she who needs saving. In fact, it is Morgana who needs to be saved from his severe case of simpage. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? The answer: inside your walls. In our very first battle with a full party, we fight against the disgruntled man on a toilet. What am I looking at? Here we can fully utilize Catwoman's ability to commit arson. For real this time. Wait a minute. No, he's infecting me! I don't care what you say, this is sheer buffoonery and I love it. Well, you know this song and dance by now. And then they leave because plot demands it. Having secured Ryuji's waifu, no I won't accept an argument, our party is at last full and we are now allowed access to the world to explore and interact with. During the day at least, because at night our caffeine caretaker keeps us locked down more than Disney keeps the bodies in the basement. You see, it's funny because they shelter predators. There are limitless things to do betwixt enacting karmic judgment upon the bourgeoisie and complaining about society. My preferred way of wasting time is by taking care of my pet plant, whom I will name Tree Risa. The voices are growing louder. Now that we are granted the right to play the game, we must speak of the most important game mechanic: confidants. I am not joking when I say that friendship is magic and will make or break an entire playthrough. And I should know because in my first playthrough I missed an entire confidant and only got 2 of the main cast to max ranks. Mostly because I was too busy befriending an old man and trying to get those sick gains, so clearly I am the best person to explain how to make friends. Now there are a lot of them, so we'll get to them when we get to them, but to start we have Igor, the grumpy old troll who lives in our brain. Hypno's human counterpart is the one who dragged us into this mess to begin with, and is the Arcana of the Fool. Who was inside your head? Make of that what you will, but he allows us to hold more personas hostage, so I won't question it. We also automatically gain Morgana, the Magician Arcana. Why are you carrying a cat? Which ranks up automatically, so don't worry about upkeep. Just like all cats, he's self-sufficient. Unlike all cats is that he aggressively tries to get you to sleep, rather than preventing you from doing so. Also, he's a... Next we have Ryuji, who, as I have stated before, is our boy and is the single biggest stressor of the entire game. How did you make friends? It is only due to the people around us being either deaf or dumb that we aren't found out immediately because Ryuji has no inside voice. On that note, he is the Chariot Arcana, which immediately forgives everything because I can make Polnareff jokes from here on out. Followed immediately by An of the Lover persona. You hung out with a model? Who is essentially the protagonist of this part of the story, so expect to see more of her soon. She also desperately needs to file a restraining order against that freaking cat. And her element is fire, so yeah, she's one of my favorites. Soon after being allowed to go places, you must acquaint yourself with Tai Takumi, your next confidant. You had a hot goth doctor? Takumi is the goth GF we all inherently desire. She's also a licensed doctor, meaning she gets to make her own drugs. You should consider these things when you go and ask about such drugs in her lobby, especially when she locks the door and says this. However, don't get too excited. She just wants to perform unethical science on you. In fact, there's a fair chance she's just trying to poison you. Can you tell that she's the Death Arcana? We also have to meet with the coolest man to ever live, but we'll get back to him later. We acquire both drugs and guns in equal measure before preparing ourselves to Rochambeau and hold up every single shadow in our way to deleting this unholy castle from existence. By the way, did I mention the music? Oh golly gee, do I feel particularly Phantom Thiefy today. I didn't realize being a brain terrorist came with such a banger soundtrack. Welcome, one and all, at last to The Game, where all we learned before is used as we invade Buckingham Palace to steal from King Charles. But to do so, we must not so friendly excommunicate the royal guards from reality. I never realized that the royal family employed Sarah Winchester as their architect, or that they employed whatever that is. I don't know if I need to censor this or not. This is a pretty big place, but at least we don't have to go to the love dungeon again. Instead, we ascend the societal ladder until we are able to look down upon the LARPers. I legitimately don't know how you played this game before the grappling hook. It is the only way to travel, because my name is Batman and I will not be paying taxes for any of this. Just like my hero, Jeffrey Benzos. Through mastery of the tried and true sneaking method of bending your knees slightly behind a wall, we avoid enemies, traps, homework, and the opinions of the uncultured to reach the inner sanctum. I make it sound quick, but if I explained every excruciating detail of this one level, we'd be here all day. So, suffice to say, it took me 5 hours to explore every inch of this place and get every will seed. What's a will seed? Well, you see. Got all that? Good. With our way in secured, we immediately leave so we can warn the chimpanzee that we're gonna bamboozle him. I swear it makes more sense in the game, I'm just a minor dingus. We go to war on the most important day of the year, and have I mentioned how much I love this music? We musically meander our way through Buckingham Palace and into the Tower of London in order to steal the crown jewels. I don't think they'll be needing them anyways. What's the worst that can happen? I do not need to see this. You really do be flying high. Unfortunately, he's not the only thing flying free.
I will let anyone take this.
Yeah, just please put some pants on, I beg of you.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose.
That's rich coming from a monkey with no pants.
You should kill yourself now.
Nice try, but you can't kill what has no soul, because as you may have noticed, we're all teenagers with attitude.
What the hell?
It would appear we have made him mad, just a mite bit miffed. Never thought I'd see Gonzo get skinned. Also, what is that? Man, I guess he really never skips leg day. I'm very funny, please like and subscribe. Also, why do I hear boss music? This is the first boss fight, and it's all about endurance. Mainly me, enduring the editing of this video, because I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to put on YouTube. Kamoshida will ask you many questions. Can you block? Can you react? Can you counter? Can you feel the love tonight? And all these questions have the same answer. Violence. But don't worry, if you're having trouble, you can always call your best friends for help. Smith & Wesson. The First Amendment protects you from the government, not from me. Unfortunately, it doesn't protect us from him either, and unlike him, we can't heal through the power of thick thighs. Which is why we delete his thigh stash to take away his power. However, this only makes him more agitated, and he proceeds to use his child slaves to fight back. Which is totally unfair because we thought of the slavery thing first. When given the option, I choose to murder the slave he's using as a ball machine. That was a strange sentence to say, but I'm moving on. Don't worry though, he's not real, thank goodness. Otherwise, there might be no saving this video's rating. I can confidently say to the YouTube police that she's a figment of the mind, therefore, it's totally fine. Once more, stealing his toys away from him makes him very upset. Only this time he's done playing games. Now he's just out to kill us the boring way, which isn't great for us as we do very little damage and he's doing what he does best, feeding children. This, however, is not a problem. As my good family friend Ukiki once said to me, "Steal his hat, my dude. It'll be funny." So, to further reenact my visit to Scotland on September 8th, I instruct a quirked up goblin to return to Monkey and remove his crown, which gives him the most powerful status effect, crippling depression. With nothing left in our way, me and the gang proceed to make a JoJo's reference at Kamoshida's expense, and the first boss is reduced to his true form, an incel. And he attempts to flee only to be met by his worst nightmare, a woman. I'd just like to point out that Morgana totally encouraged On to actually murder a man. Just putting that out there. With the king dead, the Jenkum castle begins to collapse and Morgana immediately tells us to hurry, or sitting down and not worrying about it. Likely because he was going to hitch a ride on us like an Uber. The palace is gone, and with no further worries before us, we can finally breathe a sigh of relief. At least until the deadline hits, but we'll get to that. Once more, with the freedom to do as we wish, we return to our Mocha mansion, where we can at last acquire the confidant of the Cocoa King. How did you find a stable father figure? The Frappe father blesses us with his culinary skills. However, we'll have to get back to him another time, because the world beckons us. There's so much to do, so much to see, so many, attractions. The last thing I need to do is be imprisoned by a small child, so I'm gonna go somewhere less threatening. Like McDonald's. The day of judgment arrives with the most exciting of activities, a school assembly. While Large and in charge rambles at us, Camo Shorts arrives with a sudden announcement.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
My, how turns have tabled the. At last, the threat to our normal, everyday life is gone, and surely nothing bad will ever happen again.
Why? Why?
Yes, that's where I'm ending the video. Listen, I am at 11 pages and counting, and I am not going to summarize the whole game in one video. That would be an unwatchable and uneditable mess. That said, if you enjoyed my steadily declining mental condition, maybe hit that like. If you want to watch me suffer further, subscribe. Anyways, I gotta get a move on. Turns out hanging around a rich person's basement is boring. I need the thrill of the chase, so I will see you in whatever meth-ridden alleyway I find myself in next. Ciao!